Hello everybody, this is Eric Navas. In this video, I'm going to read an article that was done on the Washington DC UBF back in 2007. So this is like a 10-year-old article, which unfortunately has been removed, but luckily has been archived. So one thing I want to make note here, that this is the Washington DC UBF, because there's a Washington DC UBF, there's also a Washington UBF. So to not cause any confusion, this is the in Washington DC UBF that's on 3604 Meserat Road. It's this one, right? Washington DC UBF Fellowship or Foe by Kelly Wilson. This was made back in June 28, 2007. The Washington DC University Bible Fellowship, a small university-focused evangelical church on Meserat Road, I apologize if I mispronounced the name, has become the home to a number of students and is described by many of them as a quote-unquote close-knit community. Although many students have sung the praises of UBF, others have expressed concerns about the methods by which the church recruits its members and exerts control over their lives. Established in Korea in 1961, UBF is now an international organization with chapters across this country and around the world. Members of the organization attribute its growth to successful missionary action, but recently accusations of member abuse and cult-like behavior have been raised by students at the university, an institution the chapter sees as a central part of its mission. If you look at the New Testament, disciples grew following Jesus, and the point was that when Jesus ascended to heaven, he said, "Go and make disciples of all nations," said Abraham Lee, a lawyer and coordinator for UBF local chapter. So it is a very clear directive or even a command for those who have followed Jesus to go and make disciples. Complaints about the organization, Lee said, may be the result of cultural differences between Americans and foreign students involved with UBF. Okay, so let me stop and like kind of a little side note commentary. This is the same weak argument that UBF has used even to this day. This was nothing new. So even way back in like the 80s, as back as the early 80s, they make these arguments because UBF is started off as Korean in Korea, and there's a quote-unquote multicultural understanding. And because of that cultural misunderstanding, it receives a cult label, which is not true at all. The same could be argued for International Church of Christ, Heaven's Gate, NXIVM, the NXIVM Sex Cult, G12, and other cult organizations who still partake in the shepherding movement. I think part of the problem we have in the past, a lot of folks we have here are from Korea. Lee said, like what I said earlier, they're rehashing the whole culture misunderstanding argument, which has very little basis. Some of the issues stem from a cultural difference because definitely in Korea it is more conservative than it's here in the United States. Aside from living on the church property, many students attend prayer services and other events geared towards community and the understanding of the Bible. Lee said a gradual increase in members' involvement with the UBF is normal as individuals become more involved in church activities such as Friday group sessions and singing during Sunday services. I think the vast majority of students who stick around, especially for a long period of time, do so because they built a level of trust with their Bible teacher, Lee said. Senior history major David Kaesler says he sees UBF as a close-knit community where everyone knows everyone else. I don't know if David Kaesler, sorry I mispronounced your name, I don't know if he's still a member or not. This article was published back in 2007. He may not be a member anymore, but I could be wrong. Creative writing graduate student James Osita, like I said, apologize if I mispronounced the name. This may or may not be a current member still. These people may not be current members anymore. Said he enjoys UBF because it takes in quote unquote in-depth approach to the Bible, end quote. According to the local church's website, the organization tries to help each student to study the Bible, that through the Bible study, he or she may come to know God personally and also come to know himself or herself. But according to some former members of UBF, the church and its methods are less well-meaning. One student, who asked not to be named, said he was once a member of the University of Maryland Baltimore County chapter and has also had experience with the local UBF, and said the systems of operation were consistent with the chapters. He said that when he was involved in the recruitment efforts as a student, he sought out the particularly young-looking people sitting alone on the campus. That tactic, he said, was the cause of his joining the UBF as a newly single freshman with few friends left in Maryland after high school. Mentally healthy people will reject UBF recruiters' hard-sell tactics, but those who are depressed, lonely, or going through a difficult period in life may be susceptible, he said. When he first joined the group, he said the leaders were very supportive of him. As time went on and his trust in his leader grew, however, he said he became increasingly familiar with some of the less appealing details of UBF, including absolute obedience to leaders, mandatory public sharing of personal problems, prohibitions on all sorts of activities, including dating, cutting off relationships with non-UBF family members, and recruiting quotas. So yes, I actually did several videos about the marriage by faith and their no dating policy. I'll link those in the description below if you want to learn more about that. Over time, he said, the UBF leaders made members dependent on them for major and minor life decisions. Lee said the idea of asking a leader for advice is not a function of control, but rather of trust. So what Lee says is like half true. Yes, you can ask leader for advice, but if you have to depend on the leader for advice 24/7, then something is wrong. I think a lot of people ask the opinion of their Bible teacher, along with asking their parents and professors and all examining what they do, he said. But the student who spoke with the Diamondbacks said leaders discourage interaction between members and non-members, including members' families, friends, and family. According to the explanation, members are expected to convince non-members to join UBF, and those who refuse are thought to be rejecting not only the UBF but also God. It is said that other UBF members are your real family, he said. Family members who try to discourage people from staying UBF are seen as agents of Satan. Another student who also asked not to be named because he is a current member of the local UBF said the amount of control in the church makes it impossible for a trusting relationship to form. He said when he first got into UBF, the leaders were quite selective who they wanted to teach, and the process made him uncomfortable. These students are not the only ones to voice concerns about the UBF organization. In 2004, UBF was a member of the National Association of Evangelicals, NAE. However, its membership was revoked that year following an investigation opened by the NAE in response to a petition from former members of the UBF and concerned relatives, friends, and others who accused the church of fitting the description of abusive churches or cults. Some concerns were raised about UBF, and through NAE asked leaders about them they were not willing to interact, said Chris Pauline, who is in charge of the membership for the NAE. However, Pauline said he cannot comment further on the revocation because the investigation was before his time with the NAE. Rumors about the organization being banned from other university campuses are rampant online, although they cannot be confirmed. This actually is half true. Yes, there are cases of UBF being banned from campuses, and they have been confirmed. There's actual several posts about that, which will be done in the future videos. Danny Golick, a mathematics professor at this university who runs a training session on calls for resident assistants, said the accusations is a complicated one. The word cult has to do only with a pattern of behavior, Golick said, and nothing to do with religious beliefs. He says such a group replaces the rules of typical society with its own, operating through the domination, manipulation, coercion, and control of its members, which can have serious and detrimental effects on the people involved. If nothing else, the Washington D.C. UBF is a local organization that has students polarized. While some student members have grave concerns about the church, many members love it. Others, including members of local churches and some university officials, didn't know existed. Right? This is the contact source. So, like I said, the Washington D.C. chapter. The leader is Jacob Ailey. What's very interesting about this post is that they talk about cultural misunderstandings, but they make no effort, let alone explain how they're willing to overcome those cultural differences. But instead, they decide to remove the article altogether. I mean, here's the post, some of the comments, I like this comment. Stop mentioning Korean culture. This is clearly not about Korean culture, but rather the serious problems in your organization. Unfortunately, can't read the comments because the comments weren't archived. But yes, I definitely agree with this person. Whoever posted this, kudos to them. Alright, Nick Timlin. Shout out to Nick Timlin. Amy Young. Shout out to her for her part and Nick's part in really sharing the truth about UBF. Jacob Lee. I don't know if this is the same Jacob Lee, who is the leader of this UBF chapter or not. But I'm guessing this is the case, but I could be wrong. Because there are several people in UBF who have the same name. Right? So this is Eric Navas. Sorry about that. Just link in the description below. Also put them in your Marriage by Faith post in the description below. Until next time.